Good evening, good evening, good evening. Who gives you the riches of wit and wisdom like a resident in California or Massachusetts, but has the intellect and poverty of intellect and wit of somebody from Arkansas, apparently, or Virginia or West Virginia? It's us, American Scouser TV, Thursday night podcast. That's the tidbit to the kids. We are joined by Brian and Cozzy, as always, but we have a Costas Simicas style substitution with Kenny, who has hair, so we don't like him, but he's here anyway. Look at that. That's not even worse that he's showing it off, and it's luscious and fulsome. So this will be the shortest guest ever. See you, Kenny. It's nice knowing you. We are in, I don't know, week whatever of no soccer happening whatsoever, and I don't count the Club World Cup because it's a load of rubbish. Even if Messi did score apparently today. We are going to talk about things that are Liverpool based tonight, and one fun game as well that I stole from somebody and I'm not giving it back to them. Brian, Cozzy and Kenny, how are we?
I'm good.
Apart from weather beaten apparently.
Great that I have electricity that I didn't have for like about 2 hours while I was cooking a pork shoulder.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the Club World Cup. I actually just found out literally yesterday that Bayern Munich won a game 10-0. And as the conversation was approaching to me, I went, well, it's pre-season, isn't it? No, it was the Club World Cup. I was like, I thought you just beat a few minnows. You know what I mean? Because don't they play that team every year, Bayern Munich, in pre-season, just whacked them 20-0.
Yeah.
It's like the same team every single year. And I thought it was that year. I thought, oh, that team's done pretty well this year. They only lose by 10. No, it was
video of Neuer doing yoga in his box while the Bayern had the ball, just danced around the other team's, 18-yard box. Ridiculous.
Real competition.
Proper competition with proper pub teams, as we like to call them. But here's what we're going to talk about tonight. Apparently, if you know what day it is of the week, I had no clue today. It was Thursday. I thought it was Wednesday. Mr. Wirtz may be making his way or is currently in Britain for the official signage, etc. So we may be getting some nice surprises tomorrow. Jarek Kwanzaa going the other way to Bayer Leverkusen maybe, and we'll discuss whether that's a good move for him or not. And then a game that I stole that we will do tonight, which could be a fun one, especially as we have somebody new who doesn't know the madness of what we do every Thursday, and it is madness. And then the white coat men come and take me away at the end of it all, which nobody sees because we go off air when that happens. So let us start with the first thing. Apparently, I don't know, this was the plan that Wirtz sitting in or playing in or bought, or I don't know. But, Liverpool fans and their obsession with Flight Radar and planes for incoming potential icons. But, we on this Thursday show, lads, we know that we have had our debates and whatnot about not FSG as owners, but certainly how the transfers get done. And, we talked before, if you see the thing, just go and do the thing. Don't be waiting around and making it more complicated than it needs to be so you look smarter than everybody else. It looks like this might be getting over the line finally. Kerkez's dad apparently is in full belief that Kerkez is going to get over the line, or else he's grounded, it seems. But how do we feel about this? Do we think this is it? Are we going to get a nice, exciting Friday morning because we're over this side of the pond, waking up in the morning to a nice bit of news on the BBC football website? Or is this yet another false dawn, and as my ex-girlfriend used to call it, and then we're left wondering what the hell is the hold up? The player wants to be there, we want to sign him, and the manager likes him, the transfer boys love him. Where the hell is the contract money, John Henry? Kenny, we'll start with you as the guest. What do you think of it all?
I mean, first off, I like to say anyone who's watching planes regularly is, I consider myself a pretty big Liverpool fan. I've never looked into flight logs to see when a player's coming to Liverpool. So maybe I'm missing something there. I'm not as involved as I thought I was. But I think this is it. By all reports, I mean, it's a done deal as long as he passes his medical. So hopefully nothing there. He played, 2 games for Germany over the last couple of weeks. Seems to be pretty healthy to me. I'm allowing myself to be officially, formally excited now.
I mean, to be fair now, for a transfer management committee type group that had Thiago, and Joel Matip. Like the medical seems almost a redundancy cost. Isn't it?
Who was it? Fakir? That failed his medical, so I guess there is a way to fail it. Tell me what that
we
is.
signed Arthur Milo and Chiesa.
So I want to help I want to help people out here for a bit of an educational purpose here. Now I feel like I'm going to school. A medical is just a risk assessment. A medical is like, do you want to risk 116 million potentially on this player when we've pulled up maybe a knee issue, or you know what I mean? So, for example, Joe Matip and Thiago passed medicals because they're like, we can see all these knocks, but for 20 million quid, Thiago. Do you know what I mean? Joe Matip on a free. It's just basically a risk assessment. Now, for example, Florian Wirtz best be made out of fucking titanium. Because if he's not, Liverpool are going to fail him on a medical. Because my God, if they're going to throw 116 million at a player, he best be right. Do you know what I mean? And that's the bigger problem. But I'm not really that arsed. I'm not a plane watcher. I don't care when he comes in. I just want to get it confirmed and we all just have a nice time. It was confirmed ages ago. This is the thing as well. There's also a respect element to Florian Wirtz's plans. He was going on holiday. It's like, well, go on holiday then. We've got your word. It's fine. That's what a man's word is. We got your word. We come in. We deal with all your holiday. And that's, you know what I mean? I don't think a lot of clubs act like that these days. I think a lot of clubs go, fuck it, holiday. You can go on holiday after this. We're getting this tied off. You know what I mean? And we're getting all this signed, sealed, delivered, and then you can go on your holiday. Where Liverpool still have that respect element to the player to go, no, it's fine. You got your word, and that's enough. And I quite like that, really. Quite like a bit of the old school in that sense, you know what I mean? But it would be exciting when it's confirmed. But again, I'm not the guy to track planes and, see what their Snapchat is saying and see if they see a Liverpool banner in the background of a Snapchat and stuff. It's super weird to me. It's super creepy, but there we are.
The Klopp one was great. I saw the Klopp one on Twitter, and I was on to be fair, I didn't have to work that day. Back in my old life, when I didn't have to work every single hour of every single day, but it was a fun little group thing to do when you're separated from everything. But yeah, it is. I mean, it is a bit obsessive. But here's my thing, Cosy. If I am correct, I do remember reading maybe 8, 9, 10 years ago that there was a time when we did have Mo Salah in the bag, and then somebody said, but maybe we can get him for a bit cheaper. And then that was the end of that, and you went to Roma instead. I think around that time, or whatever that part of his career was. My fear is that whole idea of, as we talked here before, of the transfer people being the smartest guys in the room. So, a little bit of PTSD on that. But we've also talked about this. We're so good in this show. We always get these things out before everybody else learns them. This is like Richard Hughes' real edition, isn't it? This is his real audition at this point. Like he'll come out with this with flying colours if he gets every target that we thought we were in for, doesn't he? He comes out like smelling of the roses that he looks like his arse smells of when he sits there in the stands with his nice coat on and his slick back hair, looking like I'm the next Apprentice guy.
Yes, but it also helps that Liverpool are Premier League champions. It's not the hardest selling point in the world when your two biggest rivals in the league look like a bag of rags at the moment, in my opinion, in terms of rebuild. That you can say Arsenal don't need a rebuild. I think Arsenal still need 4 or 5 players to really kick on and to really, especially on forefronts, to really compete on forefronts. So yes, and of course you'll get full credit, and so will the club if they deliver what the rumoured targets are, i.e. Kirkers and potentially another one today, which we'll get on to later. But it's a bit weird for me, this, gents, because it's very much out of Liverpool's comfort zone. But I also think that Liverpool might just go hell for leather this summer, then not sign anyone for 3. And I think sometimes that is a good way to go, because there's actually really good data about teams who win a lot more when they stay together. And teams who stay together win a lot more because they just know each other. And they just, for example, I will base last season's Premier League title on basically just knowing each other and just literally being the nowheres of Salah and Van Dijk and Alisson. And then let's be frank here. Salah and Van Dijk won the league last year. Then there was a few bit parts. That's a bit disrespectful saying bit parts, but there's a few main players. But the main 2 guys are Salah and Van Dijk. And it's because they've been together for 8 to 10 years and they've got the experience to win football matches. So there's a thing to that. And I think Liverpool this year might just go, this is it. This is our big one, where we have a net spend of 150 million, which is rare for Liverpool. Let's be frank, it's rare to have a net spend of 150. and we sign 6 players, and they go, but we're not signing for 3 years. We win Champions League and Premier Leagues, unless it's something that is really opportunistic. You know what I mean? Who can take you to that next level for like a Chouameni, for example, comes available.
Yeah.
Oh, well, fucking hell, we've wanted him for years. He's still got all the stats that we like. You know what I mean? So, but I think that's what Liverpool are doing. And I've got a feeling that could be the way a lot of clubs start moving to.
The only thing about it is that, you say that it's such an un-Liverpool-like thing to do, but even going back to the 90s, the kind of idea of, sure, we'll be okay. Man United are gone public and they're PLC. Sure, we'll be okay. And then we always seem to miss the boat.
We will always be on the 8 ball, weren't we? But now I do feel like Liverpool, no chance now, is Liverpool setting the precedent.
Yeah.
I think a lot of clubs are going to start going this way because of PSR. I think so. For example, with PSR, you have the 3-year period, which they're marking on. I've got a lot of clubs thinking they might go big in the first year, then hold tight for 2 years, see how much money they recoup, and then balance the books that way. And if you have to do a quick sale out the door, instead of just going, let's buy 3 now, buy 2 next, and buy 3, and then worry about it then. Just buy 7 now, hold 2 for tight for 2, and then we'll add all up at the end. I've got a feeling a lot of clubs might go that way.
Brian, what's your thoughts on it? It's not the worst signing in the world ever. Hey, we're getting there already. I've done a 12-hour day. I'm not gonna but yeah, I mean, we've discussed. Is he right back? No, only kidding. We've discussed the possible idea of where he might play. The more it becomes real, the more those discussions have a bit of weight to them. And we saw Jabazlai coming out this week and saying, you got to buy a player of that quality, but that doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to suffer for it. I mean, there's so many options so many combinations we could put together if we have him. If we keep Gakpo, if we keep Diaz, if we have Wirtz, if we have Salah, if we have another one, a surprise one, maybe an Isak, maybe what's that guy, Ekatike, whatever, can't say his name. And that whole idea that Cosy was talking about almost the formationless formation, like it's a three back in possession and it's a 4, almost a 4-5-1 maybe in the final defensive phase. This would be, do you think, the real Arnie Slot look? This is like, we're going to adapt. Whatever you put up against us, we're going to adapt and we're going to have things that are going to hurt you. And getting players like Florian Wirtz is a signal to every team that we want to hurt them as often as possible in as many ways as possible.
Okay, so about the formation thing, I think, as I said, like last week, Mo Salah's going to go inside because Frimpong is a right wing back. I mean, that's what he is. If you look at, we went saw the whole analytics like last week or week before right there through there. So you see that Mo's going to go inside, and I think that Gakpo is actually going to go inside on the other side, on the other part, which makes sense. Luis, the Diaz right there, who hangs out wide to left right there, is probably not the option right there that we're going to look at right there for next season. Wirtz is a 10. I mean, this whole talk of him, of the false 9 that I've heard people talk about, I don't even see that happening right there, because I don't think that he fits that way. And we're going to go there and cash in on Jota and but we're definitely cashing in on Darwin Nunez. So you're going to need to have, so we're putting another number 9 there. So I think that Wirtz right there is going to be a number 10. Szoboszlai, as I said before, I think that the best thing right there for him to do is to probably have 2 back in the back right there with Gravenberch with Szoboszlai on the other side of him, and Szoboszlai's going to have to learn how to adapt because he's not going to compete in that number 10 spot.
Where does that leave McAllister though?
So this is a question.
McAllister's going to be right alongside on the other side of Wirtz. I mean, like I said, I think honestly a box 4 midfield right there actually would be one of the most effective parts of this side right now.
But that requires having a proper 3 back.
So I don't think it is.
Or no number 9.
I like how we set up against City this year with the 2 number 10s.
Yeah,
I could see that being a formation we tried.
And that's why I think Diaz might stay, because he's done Diaz down the middle, and he might get Diaz and Wirtz, and say, if he can't get. Liverpool aren't going to go and rush him for signing a striker. We know Liverpool do not rush. They go and sign football players. So if Liverpool can't go and get their Isak or their Ekatike, if you're going to believe the rumours, let's say it's one of them, then I just think he'll just go, you know what, I'm going to persist with Wirtz. I'll persist with Jota and go, we'll have him. we'll go Wirtz and we'll have Diaz, and they're my three number, like in that, that middle option. The confusion thing is for me, gents, and when I mentioned this 3 at the back weeks ago, and everyone was like fucking losing their mind when I said it. It was
I wasn't. I agreed wholeheartedly.
Oh, no, yeah. But I meant, sorry, there's other people going, what?
Bald people agreed with you, Cosy.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It was more the fact that when we have the ball, he's done Gravenberch loads of centre-half. He's literally done him loads. Gravenberch is suspended for our first game of the season because he was playing centre-half at a last-minute challenge. He's literally suspended for that. We signed 2 players who played in 3 at the back, in Wirtz and Frimpong. And the rumour one today is Gay, who plays in a 3 at the back. Mark Gay plays in a 3 at the back for Palace. It's literally what he does. So for this thing, when people go, well, we're just going to sign Frimpong, who plays right wing back. Sorry, Ken. We'll play him right back. We're just going to sign Wirtz. Listen, fella.
I had no debate on his right wing back abilities. My statement was he has played right back for Celtic some years ago.
Listen, so's Curtis Jones. He's not a right back.
Correct.
But Wirtz is, everyone goes, we'll just sign Wirtz, who plays a 10, we'll play him false 9. We'll just sign Gay, who plays in a 3 at the back, and play him centre-half and a 2. And you're like, Liverpool just don't sign footy players, throw a load of money at them and go, we're just going to change your position. Surely that's not like, am I losing my mind when I think like that? You sign a footy player for 116 million and go, by the way, you're not going to play in the position that we thought you were really good at, and we're going to change your position for that money. Does that sound right, gents? Because to me, that doesn't sound right.
I'm with you. You hear about the players who are like too positionless for their own good, and Kunku maybe, something like that, where like
Darwin Núñez.
They're well, he's just not good enough. But you think about players like that who kind of like Fabio Carvalho, kind of like that. He wasn't quite fast enough to play on the wing, wasn't quite good enough or big enough to play up front. I think Wirtz has a position as number 10, but he has the ability to play elsewhere.
Yeah,
but he has that position, so he can thrive playing different roles. He can move up off the left, and
which is why with Frimpong right there is being signed right there because he can play as a right winger and he can also play as a right back, which means that when AFCON comes right there, Frimpong is probably going to be up to it where Mo Salah's position is right there for those couple of weeks. Especially now we face Arsenal in one of those matches right there. So you're going to need to have right there that type of pace and stuff like that to go against them.
I think you have a good point about the Gahey and Frimpong. Like if we weren't looking at least some form of maybe in possession against the sitting back teams, we might move something similar to that. So I can see it.
Let me put this to you, gentlemen, because
I have hair, by the way. I just want to throw it out there.
The thing about me reading that discussion about Frimpong being right back or wing back, whatever, is the kind of almost not to slam our Discord friends, but the lack of understanding of football positions. And not knowing the difference between a right back and a wing back, and essentially a right back is somebody who will have somebody in front of them. That is the attacker, and they are the defender, and they may rotate and overlap, but essentially that's what the delineation of roles are. A wing back, on the other hand, has to do the entire thing, up and down, up and down, up and down. That was the whole idea of the wing back, is to remove the winger and the fullback and combine them into two things. And Frimpong definitely has the pace for it, and definitely has the energy for it. So I think because he was well on the ball with that they signed him to do those things. As Bob Paisley said to Jan Molby, like when Jan Molby wasn't sure what to do. Well, what did we sign you? What did you do with Ajax? That's why we signed you. Just do that. Just do that. Now, here's what I want to talk about for all of you is we're kind of almost second guessing what Arne Slot might want to do, but we do have two major clues. Number one is how we had Feyenoord play, and number two is the fact that he's a Dutch coach who came up through the KNVB. Coaching system, and they're all about positional interchange. They're all about like the role you play rather than the actual position or number on your position back or whatever happens to be. And if you look at Feyenoord, they do play a lot of false nine type things where the striker actually ended up doing the opposite of a Salah and became the winger and emptied out that space. Do we think that we're going to see something? We're all happy with Arne Slot. We all think he did a great job melding the Klopp style with what his beginning elements are. But I'm kind of getting the feeling the more we're getting into it that, and let me know if you agree or disagree, that the way everybody throws the rose petals in front of Pep Guardiola's feet for inventing new tactical things, I have a feeling Arne Slot might come up with something this coming season where people are going, holy crap, we never thought of that, and can't figure it out for a year or two before everybody catches up. What do you gentlemen think?
So
Yeah, I agree. I think the fact that we, as pretty intense Liverpool fans, can't figure out what exactly he's going to do is not necessarily a bad thing. That means no one else can quite figure out what he's going to do. Imagine playing us first game of the year. How do you set up? What do you think we're going to do? You have no idea. I have no idea. I like to think I know, but I mean, it is interesting that he has that many and even in I can't remember who we were playing when we had the red card, and he had Gravenberch play center back, or Robertson dropped back in. We played three to the back basically, and we looked great doing it. It was 10 men on the field. But I think he definitely has the flexibility and the brain for any formation he can think of. And I mean, even if you want to classify these players as one position, the fact that they can play multiple means that we have Fulham.
Thanks, Graham.
Means that he can do different things with these players in different positions.
There's a
back
lot
to the
just before Cosby goes on there, I just want to say, just for us lads and for everybody who's watching us, we may not know what Arne Slot is doing, but rest assured that no matter how many training sessions he goes through, neither will Kostas Tsimikas come the start of the season.
I have no idea.
We're in good company.
I'm about to get to Kostas, actually. I think I love Robertson. I think he's great. He's a great servant to the club. I'd hate to see him go. The fact that we're willing to let him go makes me, again, I don't know if he has the engine to play wing back. Kostas, despite not being quite as good, can probably have more running power. And if we are going to play a wing back, I think he may be more effective in that role than Robertson will be at this point in his career.
Especially as a Greek
3-4 years ago, oh my God, Robertson would be perfect. But
especially as a Greek player, because Greek teams played a lot of three at the back. Like when he was growing up, that was like the big formation. Cause you go ahead.
No. There's a part of this, gents. Again, I think when we've mentioned the three at the back, it's more the fact of when we're on the ball. But what you also need other options. You need other decisions off the bench. You need other people. So, for example, if you're keeping Robertson, let's just say you're keeping Robertson behind, you fucking cost that far. You're doing Kerkez and Robertson, now you're two left backs. At this stage, the slightly different left backs, the different full backs. I would argue Conor Bradley and Frimpong are different full backs. So you've got different types of players, which I think you need. I'll know the one interview I always keep sticking in my head from last year, gents, in the press conference, what he says when he called out Szoboszlai for his lack of numbers before AC Milan, and this is so early in the season for AC Milan in the Champions League, because Szoboszlai scores the next game away at the San Siro, I think it was, and he called them out and went, "We need more numbers out of that position." Like he just basically said his numbers aren't good enough. Whether you rate them all you like, but if you're playing number 10 for Liverpool, you've got to be getting 10 goals. It just is what it is. Like, you get so many chances, you're in the positions, you're 30 yards out from goal. If you can't strike a ball, don't be there. By the way, Szoboszlai can strike a ball. That's the frustrating part. He can hit the ball when he wants to.
For Hungary.
Yeah, for Hungary, yeah. Yeah, it's a lovely free kick. I see them take one last weekend. Hey, there we go. But, I mean, I just think he wants those extra positions. I just think he wants to keep opposition guessing. I think if you ask the manager what's your big three frustrations from last year, I think he probably goes, my lack of options, not beating Nottingham Forest. I think his head fell off still. And I think his lack of numbers from certain players in the team. I think he looks at McAllister and goes, you could be getting 8 to 10. Like, you can hit the ball. We've seen you hit the ball. You could be getting 8 to 10. Like, is that the end of the world? Is the number 10 for Liverpool, gents? And this is what I was going back to. Is that a lot to ask? To ask for 10 goals out of your number 10 playing for Liverpool? 8 to 10?
No.
I don't think it is. I don't think that's a lot.
In a vacuum, it's not. But also, you got to remember, a lot of the teams we're playing are purposely reducing space around the box, which does hinder the number 10.
But I get that goal. But Ken, if you can strike a ball from 25, then if you're camping out in the box and you've got the ball from 25 and they've got 10, strike it. Look at the ball. Hit the ball.
I would love to see Szoboszlai try to strike the ball, then pass it around the box.
This is my point. Like,
he loses the ball 1,000 times, but if he has hit it, I mean, man, he has a
if you look at the season, guys, at McAllister's goals, and I think about this a lot. There's 2 goals that always stand out to me. The Spurs away, when he's the last man in the box, he doing a little header, and the derby, he's running past the striker, and he's probably looking and going, "That's exactly what I want for my number 10. That's exactly what I want Vert's doing." I know McAllister's on number 10, so I don't want to get into it, but suppose I was doing other things in his chasing, but he wants that player to run in the box, help us out. Let Salah look up and go, there's a player that can... Salah's picking out a lad, he's 5'7" and he's winning headers. Like, do you know what I mean? I think that is what he more wants out of the 10. And again, going back to the Szoboszlai and Verts thing, I think that's what he wants. He's looking going, like, hey, lads, we can't be having 25, 30 shots a game and, and not getting more goals. I think he's so frustrated with our performances against the bottom 10 last year. I think he's really annoyed. I think he looks at Southampton with own game. I think that was before PSG. Was that before the final, the cup final winner? I think it was before the League Cup final. He makes a few changes, but 1-0 down at home. At half time to Southampton, the worst teams ever played in the Premier League.
We looked terrible against Southampton in both games, home and away.
This is what I'm saying. So he brings them off and he brings on all the lads. And then Liverpool win 3-1. And he's like, that's why I can't trust you. So I think he wants more trust. I think he wants a bigger squad. I do think there is a thing there. But I don't think it's going to be, oh my God, Liverpool is starting the first day of the season, 3 at the back. It's not. I just think it's going to be more, you'll see Gravenberch's heat map be a lot deeper than you would last season. That's it.
Brian, what do you think?
I'm on board with what Kazi said right there, but I think it's more of a 4-2-3-1, like as a formation right there, with a 9 being a little bit more closer to where the 10 is, and I think that which goes back to the whole thing with there. It goes back with the players in there, which I talked about Diaz on there, and also could possibly with same with Gapco, because if you put McAllister alongside Verts, you're getting the best out of both of their games. Because one right there with the link up play right there you have with McAllister, and plus with Verts doing what he does. But the same thing goes with the wing backs over there. If you have a left on the left wing back, right wing back right there who are making runs, you're going to wind up having Gravenberch drop back into so it's going to go back into a back 3. So I mean that perfectly makes sense right there, which means why Mo Salah is actually going to be not a wide player. He's going to be more of an inside player coming up. And I think it actually goes more better for him at this stage of his career to be in that inside because of what he can do right there on that going around right around the box instead of actually touching the actual the pitch line. So I mean I think that's why I think they're doing that if like Slot's going to look for more of a formation like that. And again, when it goes to plays with the false signs kind of situation you're talking about too with Feyenoord, because right there that whole turns into like almost like a forward four at one point right there playing on there, and so you basically swamp them and overwhelm the entire defense in that position, and you're still leaving enough room right there because you're having one person drop back and you're having Gravenberch right there drop back with their center back. So it creates more offensive space.
Let me ask you those.
I was going to say it all right, and this is the other thing with the counter. Say we Liverpool got countered, let's say, it's hard to get past those 3 at the back. If it's Gravenberch, like your middle man to stop the initial run, then you got Virgil and Canate going, well, actually, we're not playing on the halfway line. Let's say we're playing 10 yards a bit further back anyway. Do you know what I mean? Like, so we've still got that extra yard. If you have got a quick striker on the edge of the in between them, let's say they've got that extra yardage to get back. This is another thing that, again, the more I've thought about it today, I'm not, we'll get to Kwanzaa, I'm sure you mentioned it, but I'm not a big fan of the sale. But with Gakey, I know he can probably go, you know what, on certain games, I can trust a lot because of it's just his recovery pace, getting back in, because he is quick. I'll give Gay his credit. I think he's quick. So I think he probably just goes, I can trust him with his recovery pace. I don't think Liverpool, I think, let's count, if you can count it last season, we don't need to. How many times the one-hand did Liverpool win by more than 3 goals? Like, it was rare. We didn't whack anyone. Do you know what I mean? I'm just, you know what I mean? We didn't whack anyone.
Leverkusen's the only one that comes to mind.
I've got Spurs away, West Ham away. The 2 that really stand out.
Real Madrid.
Leverkusen.
Beat United 3-0. Beat United. But I mean, in the league, at least, we beat United 3-0 as well. But we don't really whack anyone. And I think he wants to go, you know what, lads, on the hour mark, if we've got an Champions League game, a quarter-final coming up, I want to hook 6 players, for 3-4 players off because you're winning 3-0. And I want to hook them off on the hour, but he couldn't knock them off last year. He tried to hook them off against Plymouth, and look what happened. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's what he wants as well, Mac. I just think he wants that deeper squad of lads we can trust.
Let me ask you this, and this is kind of coming from having to have conversations with, I don't want to slam people, but American soccer parents for years and years and years and years and trying to explain things to them. Is part of the problem of why people can't get their heads around the idea that of the whole malleable, movable 3 at the back, 4 at the back things, because people think too much in very static positions and static formations. Because that whole idea of changing a formation is very, very Dutch. It's been like there since like the early 80s. when they kind of formatted their entire coaching and tactical thinking. When Gerard Houllier, I got told the story, when Gerard Houllier was the coach and director for the French Federation, one of the things he would tell like the coaches would be like, you start with the 4-4-2 and now your fullbacks have just almost like exact same situation. Your fullbacks have pushed up and your defenders dropped in, your number 6 has dropped in. What have you done? You've changed formation. Yep, don't tell anybody that, it's a secret. That was an actual quote from somebody who did one of his courses that I happened to me. Was that he was basically just saying you're just changing formations constantly, and it's up to the other team to figure it out. Italian soccer was like that for decades, just constantly changing and changing, and the other team had to keep up. That's why it was such a tactical league. Is part of the problem with us not seeing Arne Slot's ideas? Because we're, as a general body, we're still thinking 4-3-3 is 4-3-3 regardless of what phase of the game we're in. 4-4-2 is 4-4-2 regardless of what phase of the game we're in. But he's thinking on a whole other level about that. It's literally, if the ball's over here, we're going to be playing 4-2-3-1. But if it's over here, it's a 3-2-5. There's not incidental, but there's definite movements to change where the players are dispersed to maximize our abilities and minimize our risks. What do you guys think?
Yeah, it's hard to picture something when you picture a lineup. You picture like the graphic that comes on the television before the game and where the positions they are listed. That is not how the game is played. And even with Klopp, where he had a very static 4-3-3, it wasn't always the exact same. You change based on opposition, and Slot is much more fluid than Klopp is. I mean, we may start, it may look like a 4-3-3 on paper, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to play like a 4-3-3. And I think, like you said, with American, we have a lot of American, we're American-based Liverpool channel. I coach American kids soccer. The idea, I can't imagine pitching to parents the idea of their child playing a fluid formation. They just simply couldn't wrap their head around it. American sports are very position-based. Football, basketball, you think about that. Baseball, there's no second and a half baseman. You know what I mean? Like, so I think that is kind of hard to wrap their head around. But I don't think that's an issue Slot has, or Richard Hughes or Michael Edwards, whoever are making these decisions. I think they are able to see the bigger picture and pick these players that can play in these different roles and different formations, whether it be starting there, moving there in the middle of the game, based on opposition or whatever. I think it's naive of us to look at it as we're playing X formation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's more the fact of like, I just don't. The Fulham game is interesting because he plays like 6 different formations, and the manager has done it. But I just think he wants to keep people guessing. I think the PSG game, I think he's learned loads from. I think he's learned loads from PSG, which is not a bad team to learn from, to be honest. But Liverpool just got battered. Especially, I'm not talking about the home leg, the away leg. Liverpool just got battered, didn't touch the ball. It's the best team I've ever seen. Definitely the best team that we've played in the last 10 years. Yeah. By a mile. Never seen Liverpool dominated like that in a game, really.
Atalanta.
If anybody remembers the Discord chat from that day, one of the first things I said was that's the most mobile team.
Oh,
they were moving from position all over the place. Man. It was great to watch.
I can't believe how good that Fatina was. That was the first time I've properly watched him. I was like, it's the best play I've ever seen. So
the Wolves flop Fatina.
Yeah. I think there's a part of this, gents, where I just think he wants to just have the most options as possible. I think he likes the idea of having lads who can play in 3 or 4 different positions. And that's why I think like players like Curtis Jones are so valuable to him, because you can play in any of the 3, you can play in the 10, you can play in the 2 6s. That's so handy to have for the manager. That's why Joe Gomez might stick around, because you'll go, well, if he's fit, he can play across the back 4. And that's really hard. Do you know what I mean? So those type of players are gold dust. Like Luis Diaz might stick around because you can play 2 positions. Diogo Jota can do the same. Let's get it right. Jota can play the 10, he can play the left, he can play up front if he wanted to. So I just think it's handy to have, and I think the manager, that's what he wants to have.
Brian, what do you think?
I mean, I think that you have to have you have to have players play multiple positions. And I think U.S. did have that at one point right there. And they had an actual youth manager that actually showed that, because Tab Ramos right there actually had the U.S. Team, this group right there who are now playing in the full nationals right there, actually playing more fluid football, and they actually won the U17 World Cup. So it's a big difference. And I really think that if you want to go back off of to kind of play off of what Kenny's saying right there, yes, is it difficult to come there and teach like a child right there to come there and play multiple positions right there? But if I remember as coaching right there that I had U8s playing every position on the pitch.
I'm going to say it's actually not hard to teach 8-year-olds to play because they have no concept.
Correct.
You can just let them go.
It's the parents of the adults.
It's the parents that you have to teach. Yeah.
So I mean, every kid wants to be that one. So more or less, I'm right there. I think that you have to have multiple you have to have a gap of players who can play multiple spots right there. I mean, which was why I think that, like you said right there, I think that definitely right there, Joe Gomez is probably one of the most useful players in the back right there because he can go across the line. I mean, you can do whatever you want with him through there, and it's same thing. I can see Jota right there because again, Jota's fluid. I don't see so much. I mean, I see Diaz somewhat right there, but we even said on here right there that when Diaz is in the middle, it just drove us mad. I mean, right there to a point right there. So I think that Diaz right there is a wide left player, and I think that's what his game is right there. And I mean, unless we adapt to go there into tactics to go there, play more wide on there at some point in games, I don't see where Diaz right there plays that much of a part.
So Max, go this. So Brian, here's what I'm thinking. If you're playing a 3-5-2, and we'll move on in a second. I know it's probably
yeah.
Well, I've got one more thing. Just something. I have one more thing for you guys.
Coming on. Salah's 10 yards inside Frimpong, let's say. So Salah's on the edge of the area. The one thing that he wants is a Diaz in the box. He wants Wirtz running and he wants Gakpo running. He wants them all just ploughing the box.
Yeah.
Liverpool can't get there 9. You will see a lot more of Diaz down the middle. But I think what he'll say is, though, hey, but don't worry, because Szoboszlai wasn't getting beyond Diaz. Macka didn't do it enough, but just be virtual. I think that's his argument of going, well, you know what? I forget these two by each other. They've got enough quality in and around the box to get us enough goals. And I think that's how we might get home here. But
so here, go ahead, Kenny. I thought you were going to say, okay, so here's my last thing. To have that amount of positional mobility, to have that willingness and that instinct to be able to move in different positions and be comfortable in those requires a good degree of football intelligence. And in Dutch football, there's the 3 principles: technique, insight, communication, they call it. And insight is the big one. It's how you read the game. If we take that as read, if we take that to be the case, and I'm saying this just because we may never get to do this again, does that indicate why Darwin Núñez was pushed so quickly to the side? Because he's one of the dumbest players I've ever seen in my whole life.
I mean, no, because
that and the fact that he can't score goals and he's an asshole.
I just think Harvey Elliott's really clever though, and he didn't get a game. So I just think it's more.
Yeah, but he's also weak.
Yeah, Harvey just physically can't cut it.
Come on, I think when Elliott came,
I love Harvey Elliott.
No, yeah, I think Elliott. I just don't think he fancied him. I just think with Darwin's just done his head in. I thought I'll give you loads of chances, and he's calling out his effort. It's a damning indictment of a professional sportsman when you get called out for effort by the coach. That's a damning indictment, because it's the bare minimum. It is literally the bare minimum.
So, he certainly tries. He just, like the Crystal Palace game
does Darwin try? If you just said
no, I'm saying Harvey tries.
Harvey
yeah. But I'm saying the last game of the season, Crystal Palace, Harvey looked like he was playing against adults as a child.
I'm going to say, we were all still pissed. So were Palace. It was
I agree, but I see that more often with him than anything. The talent is there, no doubt. It's just I'm not sure if he has it to compete physically with some of these players.
It just doesn't work. He's great.
I love him. I love him. He's still so young.
I just think he got to a stage when he probably got to around December. Because I always go back to the Costas Robbo swap that he was doing so early in the season. 60 Robbo out, Costas in, 60 Robbo. And then he just got to like around January and he went, that Costas is shite, can't be arsed. And I remember we got to that run in February. I always go back to that run in my head in February when we had Plymouth and we had Villa away and City away and Everton away. And he just ran Robbo into the ground. If we get to Newcastle alone, I think he does Costas for Newcastle alone, but he just runs him into the ground for those 5 and like 10 days, 12 days and just goes, fuck him. No. And I just think that's what the manager did. But I don't think he wants to do that again. I don't think he will. I think he's learned so much of I think he's learned no winter break. I think he's learned if we go deep in these cup competitions, you can get a Villa away thrown in a week later when you've got Everton away and City away in a week, and we're going to throw Villa away on a Wednesday, and I think his head fell off. I genuinely think his head fell off with it.
Go ahead.
I
was just saying, the last thing about that is, like you said about running Robbo in the ground. The only thing I'm worried about is our lack of linking to like another holding player, unless we are switching the formation a bit there. Because Gravenberch got run into the ground. He looked shattered towards PSG, Newcastle.
Japanese prince, man. You got my Japanese prince.
I love him, but again, you talking about not wanting to play Costas. He doesn't like him. He'd rather play him at center back or right back than in the holding midfield position. He's not good enough on the ball. Unless he's putting a lot of trust in Bajcetic, I just don't see how we get away with not either one, changing the formation, or two, getting someone there. Adam Wharton, I'm 100% with you on that. If we can get him in, but
and you're also forgetting that James McConnell is also going to have a little bit of say so coming up this next season. I think he'll have a little bit more.
I'd love for that to happen. I just don't see it.
We'll go to this on the back of the Kwanzaa conversation, but
we could do that. But I just want to throw one more thing in there: is that Endo also played as a centre back, and I don't think that if Cosy is right, if Cossy's right, the role that Gravenberch or whoever the number 6 will play will be a lot less demanding because they're not marshalling the central midfield anymore in the attack. They're now the stopper, the old traditional stopper in the 3-man defence. But we'll have loads more time to talk about that because we do want to move on to this lad looking all happy there, colouring in. He got the McDonald's colouring in sheet there when he did his signing on. Now, the rumours are that he may go to Leverkusen. We've talked about during the season, whether being hooked that early in that game is going to be damaging to him. We've talked a little bit about whether he actually has that next level in him, or is he just a young defender right now? Although I always say that, and I'm so spoiled at least because I'm so old. But Alan Hans was only like 21, and he was like a pearl already. But is this? I think this. I would say a good move for Kwanzaa, but is it a good move for Liverpool to lose Kwanzaa? What do we think?
I don't like it.
The manager doesn't trust him. I mean,
get it.
That's it. I mean, do I think it's a? I think in all parties right there, concerned right there. Do I think it's? I think he's a young, and I think he has a lot to learn because I don't think really a defender matures himself to actually think the game till about 28. Really, technically like that. But I mean, is it good for Kwanzaa? Absolutely. I think that he needs a fresh start. I think he needs to come out there and go somewhere else and get somebody who's actually going to value him right there. I mean, and I think that it's football. I mean, the slot doesn't rate him, so I mean, you have to move on from him. I mean, the thing that's going to happen is who are they going to get to replace him, and that's going to be the catch, which I guess we'll talk back in a bit.
Go ahead, Ken.
I think Kwanzaa may not be the best center back in the world, but I like him as an option. I think he's solid. He was great. Last year he had a bit of a rough patch. He's a young center back, like we said. I think his confidence got shot that first game, and it was hard for him. He was fighting that all year. But the year before that, he was incredible, getting shouts for the England call-up for the World Cup. I mean, he did really well for us. I think for him, it's a great move. For Liverpool, I think it would be better in the club's interest to hold on to him. But you weigh that up, versus how much we might get for him as well. That's tough. 40 million is a good price for him. I think that's a good money if we can get that. But again, I feel like, can we guarantee that someone we get for 40 million is as good and as willing to not start every game as Kwanzaa is? I just don't know if that's the case, and that's where my hesitation is.
Let me ask this though, Kenny. We could talk about the confidence thing after being hooked from that game, but is it also a test nearly to see how he bounces back from that, and he wasn't convincing the manager that he was bouncing back? For example, I hate to use this example because I really hate to use any A, Manchester United player, and B, Roy Keane in any example. But you couldn't imagine a 21-year-old Roy Keane being hooked out from a game by Brian Clough or Alex Ferguson and then just taking it. He will be back next week, smacking players around the field to show you're wrong. I should be here. That was the worst mistake you've ever made. And that's kind of what Arne Slot's looking for. He's looking for players that can bounce back because we are going to lose a game. We are going to be pummeled into the earth like by a PSG. Have you got the famous Ian Dowie bounce back ability? Do you think maybe Kwanzaa didn't show him that, and that's where he maybe lost him?
When did he
Hard
ever
to say. He didn't get a ton of opportunities to show him that he bounced back.
Yeah. I'm Ken with you. When did he ever show? Like
he's also seeing him every day in training. Like you can see a person's body language in training.
Mac, he's a young centre half. Literally, he plays centre half for Liverpool Football Club. Liverpool don't have 22-year-old centre half starting for them. When was the last time Liverpool have 22-year-old centre half starting week in, week out? We didn't. We don't. It's fucking. It's now on impossible. He's a kid. I don't like I like the move for him. I think it's a great move. I'm not like. I get it, but I'm starting to build like a case here a little bit where I just don't think the manager fancies any young players. I just don't think he can be arsed of projects. I think he wants to win now. I just think he goes, no, I want to win now, and I'd rather go and get a Mark Gay who's 2 years older than him. Let's say for the same kind of doll who can help me win now. He's Premier League experienced and just captained the team to the FA Cup, and I just think he just fancies that. I would argue, mate, Knight, that I always go back to this, guys. There's always something that sticks in my head. Do you know the class of '92 that everyone raves about, right? With all these young kids, they never had a young centre half, did they? No, because they go out and sign the real deals. Because it's a centre half, and you don't take your chances on raw, hard kids to go. You know what, though, kid? We're going to give you an hour in this game because you can lose the football match on the back of it giving the kid an hour in a game. So that's difficult as well, isn't it, Mac? That's all I'm saying. I think listen, the manager's entitled to make whatever decision he makes, and that's fine. I think it's a good deal, by the way. I do think it's still a good deal for the club, especially if there's a buyback clause there for 40 million and go and get him back in 3 years and let the kid mature. That's fine. He can mature on someone else's watch. But to say he's not like, he hasn't got that level to step up, I don't think we have any idea. I just don't think we have any idea if the kid is that level to step up. People are being compared to like the Brewster. No, Brewster didn't kick a ball for Liverpool. This kid's kicked the ball and proven to me that he could play for a Premier League team. But again, it's so hard to play centre half for Liverpool. It really is. You've got to let these kids mature on someone else's watch. I can see a comment in because I just glanced at the comments actually for Bob's comment. But Konate was starting for Leipzig. He was starting weekend for so Liverpool had a case study to go off and go, well, Konate started next to Upamecano for 70 games. So they have something to go and watch back at 70 games. We don't have it. You don't have that for any other young centre halves. And like a Kwanzaa. Liverpool had that season under Klopp, but it was just wild in Klopp's last season, and it was all a bit pieced together because of the injuries. I think the kid's talented. I think the kid's got extreme ability. I think he's going to a great league. I actually think he's going to a good manager. I think Ten Hag's actually a manager. I just think United can poison Chelsea, but that's something else. You know what I mean? We can go from there. But
let me ask you this though. Let's say you're right about we're not. He's not mature enough and pedigreed enough for Arne Slot's Liverpool. Would it alone not be better for Liverpool then, rather than having to worry about buyback clauses, just loan them out and getting the experience that way, or are loans too risky? Because we've seen players going out for loans and never get a game. Do you know what I mean? Like,
there's also a part of this, Matt, with Bayer Leverkusen. You've got to return the favour.
Yeah. That's
you took their two best players. Yeah. You've got to go, you've got to fucking do us one, but we're not allowed to. No, you've got to go, we don't really want to do this one, but you know what? We've got...
Here's Darwin!
Here's Darwin. Do you know what I mean? Like, so there is that part. I just think, you know what I mean? I do think there is a part of a handshake, because if in 2 years, if Bayer Leverkusen have a player that you want, they're going to go, fuck you, mate. Remember that summer? I always go back to the Salah summer. The Salah summer's mad. We signed Salah for 35 million. He scores 44 goals. Then Liverpool go back a week later to Roma, a year later, and go, can we have your keeper? And they go, yeah. If it's someone else, he's 50. For you, he's 70.
Yeah.
Why? Because he just mugged us on Mo Salah last year. So if he's the one. So basically, when we sit down in a board meeting and we go, we've got 100 million for Salah and Alisson, and you go, good business. Do you know what I mean? That's how it works. So I just think to myself, you know, they have to be a return of the favour.
There is a bit of politics involved in it.
Of course, there is. And I think Liverpool again. Liverpool might be
we've had a good relationship with Bayer Leverkusen since before all of this. Like going back to Hoopy managing them and everything. Maybe
again, there's things in the pipeline. Liverpool, you don't want to close communication. You don't want to close things with players, and you don't really want to piss off teams. You know what I mean? So there's that part. They might go reluctantly. We don't want to do this, but okay, come on, we'll just do it then. Do you know what I mean? And that could be the conversation as well.
Brian, what do you think?
I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if Harvey came there and went to Leverkusen. Wouldn't be shocked by that either right there. I think that again, this also, I think, would be a good move for him too. I mean, so I mean, honestly, I think that when you sit back and talk about center halves right there, who young ones right there, makes you think about Andre Wisdom back from right there, who, you know.
He's holding Andre Wisdom in there, right?
I mean, you think about how all of us came there right there, rated Andre Wisdom when he was coming up through there, and I mean, he basically gave him that try right there, and then he was basically just tossed aside right there, and it goes to the point right there of what could have been right there with a player like him. I mean, you know, and it's the same thing that happened with Kwanzaa right there. That whole trajectory right there is a big mystery. You know, you can see right there that they could ascend right there to be a class center half right there, or they could go in there just a peak at 21, 22, and that's the end. So I think that with Kwanzaa right there, knowing that he's probably going to be a bit part player, even at Liverpool, he has to make that move. I mean, it's almost like you have to do it. And the same thing goes with Harvey. Harvey has to do it. He's going to have to make that move.
So let me ask you three this then, from Kwanzaa's point of view, and let's just throw Harvey in there as well. From their point of view, being British players, a demographic that doesn't tend to move to the continent, in any large numbers. Do you think Arnie starts getting in their ear and saying, you know what, like just break them all, just go and do this. You will never regret going to the continent and learn how to play and learning another language while you're there. Apparently, one of ours did it for 2 years before he left. You know, you might want to get a head start. But you know,
I was going to comment on that when you showed the picture of Kwanzaa signing his contract. See how easy that was? We get money for it.
If Kwanzaa speaks fluent German, I'm all over it.
We're getting money for it. He just had a contract.
Hey, guten Tag. But no, I think
we've seen a trend of English players going abroad more recently. A lot of players going to British Dortmund, getting their feet. Yeah, British players going to. What was the
Scott McTominay, Billy Gilmore?
What was the young Scottish left back playing for? No. The left back playing for like an Italian team, Bologna, maybe. I could be making that up, but
I think there's a part of that though. But Kenny, I agree with you.
I've seen a lot more of it recently. I think Dortmund kind of broke that mold with Bellingham. What's his Jadon Sancho? That's the only place he can play football. Apparently,
they put that winger now, haven't he? That Brian
Bono Gittins or whatever.
Brian Gittins. Yeah. They had didn't Madueke was over there, weren't he? Madueke.
He was at PSV.
PSV. That's what I'm saying. So there was
Jared Braithwaite was at PSV too, which I can't believe.
Yeah. So this again, I think Scott McTominay's a great selling point. Scott, you know what I mean? Look at you, a bit party all later, and now you've went and literally you're a hero of Naples. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like there's photos of Maradona, Scott McTominay.
Yeah, I was going to say he's literally going to be up there next in the murals next to Maradona.
The Scottish Maradona.
Maradona and Scott McTominay. It's tremendous. But you know, Billy Gilmore went over there. I don't think it really worked out for him over there, but he tried it and he's went over there. And it's, by the way, you're also playing in the Champions League. Yeah. So, for example, let's be frank here, if Harvey Elliott gets a move, apart from Newcastle, which by the way, I still think Newcastle should sign Harvey Elliott, but that's me. If it's not them, let's just say, he goes to Brighton. Brighton Bayer Leverkusen? Absolutely not. I think Bayer Leverkusen are a bigger club than Brighton, in my opinion. Do you know what I mean? I know they've only just started. And they're playing in the Champions League and they're playing in big European games. And again, by the way, gents, you go over there, let's just say you're Kwanzaa, you go over there for 18 months. You look at $1 million and then City might sign you, or Arsenal might sign you and bring you back. Do you know what I mean? That could happen, and you know you get on with it. So, man, I think more players should be going abroad. Again, they all want to stay in the Premier League because they all want the home comfort. But I think you get out your comfort. You're going to play for a big footy club, in front of 50, 60,000 people every week. Do you know what I mean? As much as I love like Brighton and clubs like that, mate, I love Bournemouth. There's 10,000 people there. There's no atmosphere. They don't even care. They're just going for the day out. You got to go and have it, experience it. So I think it's great.
Be more like Duncan McKenzie, that's what I say, and his big trip to Anderlecht, and even before Trevor Francis, I believe. But you know, whatever happens, we wish him luck. He has been a good servant so far, if not breaking out in the talent we think he may have. But you know, if it's a good move for him, I think we can all applaud it and welcome him back in a Champions League game.
Though. Mark Gahey.
So here's the next bit. Sell, keep, or swap. That's this week's game. So you're going to be given a list of 3 players.
Do we all have to agree?
No, you just get to pick and you get to defend or argue.
Fishing for hot take clips here. I can feel it.
You'll all get the same 3, but they're from Liverpool, from the Premier League era, and you have to decide who you're going to keep, who you're going to sell, and who you put in a swap deal, and you get to choose which player from the same era gets to come in. It doesn't have to be a Liverpool player. So you get to pick. Okay, so the first one is Suarez, Torres, and Sturridge. Who do you sell? Who do you keep? And who do you swap? And who would you bring in from his era to play instead? Kenny, let's start with you because you're top of the picture list there.
For this team, do they have to play in this team?
They're all at their peaks and they're all playing in. Let's put it in this team. Yeah, okay. Let's put it in this team. Just keep it simple.
I keep Suarez. That one's easy. The other 2 are hard. Same era. I keep Suarez. I sell Torres. And I swap Sturridge for Jesus. Well, I mean, what era Sturridge are we talking here?
The best
for any play for Liverpool, so 13, 14, 14, 15.
Yeah.
It's probably just 13, 14 because he was injured for every other game after that, I think.
And we're swapping him for another Premier League player or any player?
Any player that was playing in top level football.
Sturridge's I got it.
Peak for Liverpool.
Give me Lewandowski at the time.
Ooh, good choices, but I'm surprised at the Torres one. Cosney. Now, apart from the fact that Alan wants to sell you, Suarez, Torres, and Sturridge. Who do you sell? Who do you keep? Who do you swap out? And who would you swap for?
Just keep Suarez. I'm trying to think of Eders as well of a player who I want for this team. So I'll probably sell Torres and swap Sturridge because I want a 13-14 player, and I'll take the Yaya Toure from 13-14. I think he gets 20 goals that season.
It's a great shot. Yeah.
And then that midfielder in our midfield. Oh.
I was thinking the same position.
Just to add a wrinkle, you now cannot pick Yaya Toure in any of the future ones. He's now picked for you.
All players that we're going to do. Okay, this is.
There's more than this one. Brian.
Just to clarify real quick before you start, Brian, we can pick a position like I can swap Sturridge for a goalkeeper per se.
I should have said. I
don't want to replace Allison. Just to be clear.
No.
I could potentially do that.
Can we send Allison back in time for Simon Mignolet in 13-14?
Give me Loris Karius.
We'll let Cosy. Actually, I'll let you choose again. It should be a striker, just because the other position's a position. So you get Yaya Toure back. Because there's midfielders.
I'll take Aguero.
Oh, well, that's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one.
I'll take Aguero.
Okay, Brian. Suarez, Torres, Sturridge. Who do you buy? Who do you sell? Who do you swap for a striker from their era?
Okay, so I go ahead and see. I sell Suarez.
I like that, right? I like a bit of controversy.
Yeah, I sell Suarez. I keep Torres. I swap Sturridge for Sadio Mane earlier in Southampton.
Okay, so
not a bad one at all.
And why would you sell Luis Suarez, by the way?
Too much baggage. I mean, I loved him. I loved him as a player right there, but it turned into this. I think it changed. It was so much right there, the ethos of our club at the moment right there. I mean, I enjoyed his goals right there, but I mean, the whole T-shirt thing, it was just too much. It was way too much.
I get that, but he goes on to Barcelona and be the greatest player, I think.
I'm not picking on any, but I will say I probably would have kept Sturridge simply because I think he's the most natural number 9 we've had since Fowler. And I don't think you've had a
If he was
natural number
healthy.
9. When he was healthy. This is peak Torres. He was gorgeous to watch.
Torres is fantastic.
No. So that question is when people always go like, "Oh, is that one player like if it never got injured, you'd always want?" It's always Sturridge for me. Over Thiago and players like that, it's always Sturridge for me because God, he's so good.
JBL and Mercy Enterprises says Suarez is the best LFC player of all time. I don't think so. We've already decided that was Kenny Dalglish.
It's not our money though. We're not selling them because you might get more money. It's not my money. I want to keep the first player here.
Yeah, there's Amy more money for Suarez. Right, so are we ready for the next one? So Kenny started that one. Yep, Cosy, you get first pick for this one. Daniel Agger, Virgil van Dijk, and Sammy Hoopia. Who do you sell? Who do you keep? And who do you swap out? And what play do you swap for at his peak?
This is very. I think this could be extremely easy. I'm keeping Van Dijk. I'm probably going to sell Daniel Agger. I would swap Sammy. By the way, controversial. I did not like Daniel Agger. Controversial. God, fucking hell. I've got Rio Ferdinand in my head, but I'm not going to say him. Give me. Yeah, it's come back to me. Because I've got a couple of options. Come back to me. You know what? No, actually, no. Give me Cannavaro.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Give me Cannavaro.
Yeah. Brian, you're next in the rotation. Agger, Van Dijk, Hoopia, sell, swap, keep.
I'm selling Agger as much as it breaks my heart. I'm keeping Van Dijk, and I'm swapping out Hippia for Vidic.
Controversial with the Man United choice.
Over Rio Ferdinand, you're taking the Man Vidic. You've seen Torres roast that lad. I've never seen his ass more than anyone.
It'd be either Vidic or John Terry. It'd be one of the two right there.
You know what? JT might be my answer. I'm taking JT.
I'm going to take John Terry on it.
He said Vidic, I'm taking JT.
It's too controversial on both of them because I fucking can't see neither one of them.
Take what's his name, Carvalho instead. He was the better one of the two.
Oh no, we weren't.
Hey, hold on, let's not give that up yet. I had that in mind for mine.
Right, so Kenny, you're last in this one. Agger, Van Dijk, Hoopia.
I keep Van Dijk. I think that's the layup on this one. I love Agger, but I think talent-wise, he's just simply not the best. Sell Agger and then swap Sammy for Martin Skirtle. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I was thinking Carvalho, but I mean, if you're going to give up Cannavaro, I'll swoop in and take him. I'm fine with that.
I want John Terry.
You can have John Terry. I'll take it.
I'm never taking a United player.
Interesting choices.
I want to give a shout out to Martin Skirtle real quick before we finish up.
Oh,
ready for the next one? I think we start with Brian for this one. Gerrard, Alonso, or McAllister.
God, this hurts. I'm going to keep CBG.
Of course.
I'm going to sell Alonso.
Ooh.
I'm going to swap McAllister for Frank Lampard.
Ooh. I don't mind that. But we already know.
You don't mind that, but it's got to be a player from his era.
Yeah,
so you're swapping him for Frank Lampard at 50 years old.
01 Lampard, I'll give you that. 01 Lampard.
Lampard from McAllister.
It's got to be
his era.
Yeah, so McAllister, who's a contemporary of McAllister right now.
Jeez.
You have instead of McAllister.
You're going to dislike it, but I have mine.
I think McAllister's that's an hard pick because he was only there for 2 years. And I know we have this, but you know what I mean?
These tests aren't supposed to be easy, lads. These are for your thinking caps to be put on. This is how we regrow our hair.
Hard. I'm trying to think of who I'd swap him with.
McAllister.
Yeah.
So you're probably looking at that Arsenal 0-2 squad, aren't you? 0-1 squad.
It has to be McAllister's era, no?
Yeah,
So it has
that's
to be
the answer, isn't it? If you don't want
current.
to play Vieira is the answer. I'm giving you that.
Am I mistaken? It has to be a current player because McAllister is active currently, right? It's same era or no?
Yeah. It's
Oh,
it's not MC
Alright.
Alistair. It's our Gary. It's
I thought it was Gary
Okay.
McAllister.
Okay.
No, no.
I got
That's
it.
why-
I'm going
that's-
for
Now,
Martin.
hang on a second. This is why it's great being Irish and knowing the difference between
Okay.
MAC and
I
MC.
genuinely was like, you
You
compare Gary McAllister to Gerrard.
uneducated buffoons.
Yeah, it was like,
Right.
you compare Gary McAllister to Gerrard.
Alexis McAllister, who would just swap out? You can go again now if you want, Brian. Now that you know who it is.
Martin Odegaard.
Oh,
That's stinky.
that's the worst shout of the day. That's horrible.
That is controversial.
I like how we sat back and to say, I fucking nailed it. He sneaks him, you know. Arsenal can't wait to get rid of him. Arsenal want to kill him. I like these. Before last season, I would have said because I thought last season he was excellent.
You was
Last
excellent last season. Yeah.
Go on.
He basically bosses fucking Arsenal's midfield, though. I mean, if you think about it.
I'd rather have Rice than Odegaard personally, but
Ooh,
You know.
you're in the wrong show.
Hey, you're on the wrong show, okay?
I would prefer. I'm not saying I want either of them. I'm saying if I had to pick one, it would be Rice.
Well,
Well, prepare for me to make y'all even madder here in 1 second. I
Ken,
would
you're next. You're
keep Gerrard, sell Alonso, swap McAllister for Rodri.
It doesn't make me mad at all.
I mean, to be fair,
He's
he's that important to City that they were crap once he was out of the team. Like,
I mean,
literally fell apart.
City. I just
Oh no.
hate picking a player of theirs. But Rodri, I mean, hard to argue with his ability.
Yeah. It's a tough one. I'm keeping Stephen, of course. I'm gonna sell McAllister
Because you get a lot of money from him.
because
That's
you got
not ours.
Yeah, got to think about that. I had to think about PSR when I was making my decision. And then I'm gonna swap Alonso for Pirlo.
Ooh.
06 Pirlo when they won the World Cup.
Ooh.
I was going to say Zidane, to be fit. I was going to say Zidane, but if it's Zidane retired in 06, and I thought Alonso had his best season around 09 when Pirlo was still kind of pairing. So that's why. So I'm being actually smart here. I'm not just going to break the rules. You know what I mean? But yeah.
No, that's a good choice. That's a good choice. Right, so that means we're back with Kenny to start for the last one.
Oh my
You
God.
ready for it, Kenny?
Is it manager?
ready?
Yeah.
You ready, Kenny?
Let's see what we got.
Allison, Reina, or Grobbelaar?
Oh, easy.
All right. Keep Ali. Sell Grobbelaar. Swap Reina for Czech.
Oh man. Oh man.
Cosy, what do you think?
I'll stick with that.
Yeah, I'll card that. I thought Grobbelaar stayed about 4 years too long. So I'm keeping Allison, of course.
Now, just again, it's Grobbelaar at his peak. He just happens to qualify because he did play in the Premier League. If he didn't play in the Premier League, I would have picked him. So it's Grobbelaar at his peak. It's not Grobbelaar of slapping Steve McManaman around the penalty area. Grobbelaar.
That does change things a little bit. I'll go with I'm keeping Allison. I'm keeping Ali, of course. I would sell Grobbelaar. I would swap Pepe Reina. Because my God, I like Pepe. I thought he was great, but I thought the team was absolutely, that defensive team that Benitez set up was absolutely built for him. And I would swap him for Van der Sar.
Damn.
No. Controversial.
Oliver Kahn's coming up a lot here. Brian, what do you think?
All right. Keeping Allison. I am selling Grobbelaar and swapping Reina for Alamonia at Arsenal.
Almunia? Are you a secret Arsenal fan? First Odegaard, now this?
You have not just said to me, Manuel Almunia.
Look at the same time. He was top 4 keeper at the same time right there at that same exact point. So you're not really losing
Victor
anything out of
Valdez
Reina.
and Iker Casillas. You can have any of those. You can pick Almunia.
But it's going to be about that same time frame. So you think about the same time frame right there.
I just want to
You
know
took
whether
Van der
that's
Sar, so I mean,
I just want to know if that's a reversible Liverpool jersey that has the secret Arsenal one that you put on at the end of every podcast.
It's got Almunia on the back. Honestly, if you would have said to me, you can name 50 keepers from that era, I wouldn't have said Almunia.
No.
Hey, I'm going to say, how about Brad Friedel then? How about that?
Yeah, he played for Liverpool.
That's arguably a better pick. Yeah,
Brad was a better pick, but that's great. Yeah, I like this. That was a good game. I like that, Brian. To be fair, he is right, and I just thought he was the best keeper because I was going the game a lot around the time Pepe Reina was throwing them in his net in his last 18 months at Liverpool, and my God, he threw a few in his net. So as soon as I can kick Pepe Reina out of my mind, then he goes and I will take anyone who played for any club in the world.
Yeah.
There we go.
I would not be able to do that one because I see him Grobbelaar at his peak, and I still think he was probably maybe the second best.
That Premier League Grobbelaar, mate, was
not, but it's Grobbelaar at his peak. Premier League Grobbelaar was worse than Karius.
Yeah, I know.
Worse than David James. No, yeah, he was. No, he wasn't worse than David James. Nobody was worse than David James.
No.
Put me in goal, and I wasn't.
Before we go, Max, shall we mention? Because I know people have been mentioning in the chat the young Alexander Isak link that we've been.
Yeah, go on. Let's talk about that. If you have any knowledge, I don't. I didn't even know what day it was.
So, Mark, Liverpool have been strongly linked, not by the great journalists, by I say tier 2 journalists. It's not your Ornstein or your Joyce, which you get excited for.
Is it Duncan Oldham?
That Liverpool might be extremely interested. I'm not put off by the £150 million asking price for Alexander Isak, which is
seems to be gathering steam as well. Over the past few days, I've seen more and more about how we're open to it and we're not scared by the price tag and willing to break the record.
I think it's going to be more from the Newcastle side than the Liverpool side.
Yeah,
I think if Newcastle can shift them for 130 to 150 when they're in the Champions League and they can go and attract. Let's be frank here. If Osman's went to play for Galatasaray, he'll sign for Newcastle.
They're in for João Pedro as well. I think if they get him, they may.
Yeah, they're looking for João Pedro. I think there's an argument here. If you're Newcastle, it's now or never for Isak, even with 3-4 years left on his deal.
I do think if Liverpool can't get him this summer, they will not go back for him next summer.
So the same. I think it's now or never. I think it's iron hot. If it's because I don't think Isak's level will get any more. If you sell Isak now for 150, why? Okay, you keep him to try and win the Premier League. Okay, let's be frank here. They could win the Premier League. You know, they were a game and a half away, gents. They were literally like 180 minutes away of football for finishing above Arsenal. That's where they were at. Whether Arsenal fell off a cliff or not, that's what happened, and they still won a trophy. But Isaac's price is never going to go any more than 150. Even if he scores 40 next year, he's not. It's still 150. You're maxed out. Like that is it these days. I think there's a part of this where Liverpool will probably look and go, well, if you're doing it now, you do not sign a player for 3 years. And again, this is a part of that argument. If you do your gay now, swap deal, let's just say for Kwanzaa, the same kind of dough, at least. You're doing your care. You're getting all your pieces in, but that's it. We shut up shop. Gravenberch and McAllister are young enough to shut up shop for 2-3 years. But you might not need a midfielder. Because Curtis Jones will still be knocking about and you might not need a midfielder as well.
Szoboszlai's young too.
Sorry?
Szoboszlai's young too.
Yeah, Szoboszlai's that age as well. So there's that argument as well. I think there's a part of this, gents, where if you're Newcastle and Liverpool, you might even just end up doing it and going, you know what, let's do it. Let's be frank. If Liverpool signed Isak and Wirtz, I know. Let's just say Liverpool get him for 120. I don't think it's me 150. I agree with I think it's 120. You do Wirtz is 230. Then you do all the other bits and bobs that you've done. It's about 270 net spend. Liverpool are going to sell £100 million worth of players. It's not the end of the world that Liverpool could do a net spend of 150, including Isak in the net.
We can get 80 for Elliott and Kwanzaa alone.
And then never mind Darwin Núñez, and then Barcelona might come in for 80 million for fucking Luis Diaz, and you might swallow that one and go, you know what, let's do it. You know what I mean? Real Madrid. I keep saying this. Real Madrid, the massive shout here in the Club World Cup. Rudiger might be finished, and they might go, you know what, we're going for 50 million at Canate. Then, do you know what I mean? So again, these are all part of those conversations. I think this getting to the point here, gents. If you just want a number 9, sometimes you just got to pay the money. And Liverpool have case studies with this, with Van Dijk and Alisson. Sometimes you want them, you just got to pay the money and go, is he going to be worth it or not? Do you know what I mean? Like, is he worth it or not? I've still got a funny feeling in my head that both clubs still might end up on Anthony Gordon. I don't know why that is, Because I've still got a funny feeling in my head to go, Liverpool just want to play. They can play both positions and might just do both. But if it is Isak, it is the one, isn't it? Let's get it frank. It's the one in the whole of world football.
I read an interesting article. It was more about the Boston Red Sox than it was Liverpool, but obviously same owners are very tied together. It's that FSG aren't spending money on the Red Sox because they don't think they can spend money, and they don't think they can spend money no matter what they do that would make them win. And that may have played a part in the limited spending over the past few years for Liverpool, was that no matter what they did or bought, they didn't think we could compete actively with City and what they had. Now that City have dropped off, they are willing to spend the dough they need to keep us on top. There's a big thing about, I'm not sure how into baseball. I'm not a huge fan as well, but I'd like to read. They've sold the Red Sox best player. And again, it's that same thing, is that someone inside FSG told a person who wrote an article that we can't win. We may as well make enough money so we have it in the coffers for when we do think we can compete and win. And we can spend all this money at once, which it seems like we may be doing. I think it's a perfect storm for us to sign Isak.
So do I.
I'm not convinced it'll happen, but I do think if you had asked me 2 months ago, I'd have said no shot. I'd say it's. I hesitate to put a number on it. Odds on, maybe 55% chance.
Nothing down to earth, right? Come on.
Yeah,
I'm not a fan of the deal. I mean, honestly, right there, I think that Isak as 120 is too much. I mean, I think it goes back to what Sir Z and I came to talk about though, like 2 weeks ago. So many muscle injuries and things like that. You have to go looking, at these problems there. To me, right there, honestly, I've said this right from the get go. I've been a fan of Benjamin Sesko right there for quite a while. I think that he is the type of player that would suit us. And same thing with Taki right there. I think that would be a player to suit us. I just don't think that we would have to focus an entire different method of playing right there to put Isak into our system right there. Maybe that's what Slot's going to do right there, but I'm just not a fan of paying over the odds with him. I'd rather go for Gordon than go in for Isak, honestly. Right there, I think Gordon's more useful across the board, and I'm not that big of a fan of Gordon on that right there. But I don't know. I just don't see where we're getting anything value added as with Isak. I mean, it'd be almost like an instant win. But the thing is, if he deals these same muscle injuries that he's had throughout his career right there, then we're out with him and Jota again. So, yeah.
He missed less games than Gordon last year.
Can I use your concerns there, though, Brian, right? In terms of the muscle injury part. So I've been thinking about this a lot, right? So he breaks his toe, which is not a muscle injury, right? So his last big spell of sideline of games is in 23-24. He misses 8 games in a spell, and then he misses 4 in another. Before that was 22-23 season. He misses 18 games. So that's okay. That's 2 years ago. Florian Wirtz done his ACL 2 years ago. He's done an ACL and Liverpool Sano. So we need to. All I'm saying is, Matt, but Brian, this comes down to the point when you're saying it's an instant win. I think this kind of goes back to my point of like, hey, maybe the manager just wants to win now and doesn't give a fuck about the kids. Do you know what I mean? He doesn't care about projects. Maybe just want, you know what, I want to win now. No, don't care. Not interested. I want to win right now. And he's 25, and we'll deal with this when we're 28 and 29. If you're telling me, you know, Hughes and Edwards, we're not going to sign players for 3 years. Well, I want that one then, because that's the best one. Right, and I want that one now, because if we're going to do a big net spend of 150 to 200 million, and that covers, you know, the 3 years of the net, like the spend that you're going to give me, well, that's only 80 million a summer, which for Liverpool Footy Club's not a lot of dough, is it? Do you know what I mean? And by the way, you can still get bits and bobs of money, and off Tyler Morton, you might get 15 million, and by the way, and James McConnell, all these bit part players who were just hanging about at the club, basically, who the manager has no idea what Positional even looks like. I think he probably thinks Positional is a paper boy when he comes back from the fucking summer break and goes, who's that delivering the mail? Oh, he's a footy player who plays for you. So I just think there's a part of this. Right, if Liverpool have this in case and point of, let's do one big summer and don't swallow it for 2 or 3. There's no projects. There's no projects.
I know we're about to wrap it up right there, but I just want to go back to one little thing that you mentioned right there with Mark Gui. That's another one that I don't think that I don't want to happen right there. I'd rather go in for Inacio right there as Sporting right there, because I think that's actually one is that you have more time right there for him. But I know the whole thing with having natural born players right there, which goes into play right there, which makes it Gui's probably going to happen.
Last thing I want to wrap it up. I know we're getting ready to be done. Is yes, 150 million, 120 million is too much for Isak. But based on the market and the demand, I think it's worth it for us to pay that much for him.
My last thing on Gay is I don't know why he signed for Liverpool. Makes no sense.
Second string.
Because it's not even the start of the World Cup here. You start for England. You come into Liverpool, how many games you starting? So unless the manager said you're starting 25 games.
Unless Konate's out.
Well, yeah, of course, you can be that kind of second choice. But if Konate does do fitness and he plays, or as you keep talking about again, going after the bigger squad, he wants players around to go, I want to rotate because you couldn't do it last year.
Unless Konate gets sold, that's the thing.
Pick it up next week.
Let's end on this Alan Partridge style bombshell, because we can just for Cersei, we can have some receipts. Alan says Isak will never play for Liverpool, so we'll see what will happen there. And then Bob says, okay, he's a done deal. He's in last year. We'll see what happens with that as well. But gentlemen, thank you so much for being here tonight and giving up your hours during the evening. Me and Brian are on the East Coast, so Kenny East Coast as well. There you go. We've got Betty boys. Cause he got another 2 hours he could talk for, but that's also when he's asleep. So Kenny, thank you for being with us.
Thanks for having me, guys.
It was entertaining, and make sure that everybody's following us on YouTube. Make sure you're following us on Facebook and Instagram and all the other social medias, Discord channel. Subscribe and hit that bell and all that, so you know when the latest content is out. We have lots of stuff. Coffee mornings on Fridays, Wednesdays, and Mondays. We have Monday podcasts. We have Thursday podcast, EPL panel show, shorts, reels. We've got it all going on here. We're like fishermen with a yacht. And it doesn't have a hole in it either. I don't know where that came from. Time for bed. So we will see everybody next Thursday. Have a good one, and let's all hope that it is indeed a Florian Friday. Peace out, everybody. Here's the funky music.